you?
Good. It's Jeremy. How you doing, sir?
Okay, you get one finger. Remember, I have stitches in this. You're good.
Everybody doing
Sorry.
all right?
Well, we got about 2 minutes. Or about a minute.
Too many Easter eggs?
Unless we
Did I not tell you?
unless we
I
go
gotta-
by the clock
I had
up there
to
and then
have
we got an
stitches
hour.
and had a splinter removed from my hand. Yeah. So stupid.
I don't know
I
about
know,
the
don't
public
judge me.
works
It was a
director.
splinter. I need a better story.
He's been trying to get rid of him, and he just.
But it's the worst time to have it because
No,
they
no.
named everybody for Easter and everybody's like, want to shake
I
your
was
hand?
hoping
You're like,
that
"I'm sorry. Yeah.
that Kirsten could straighten him out.
That's smart, so.
Clip.
I've
Yeah.
been trying for years.
Yeah.
I tried to get it out, but it broke off in there, and it was so deep. It was like the length of my fingernail. Jagged. They had to like cut it open.
What's wrong with this stuff?
Stupid. I don't even know how to think about what the bill is
Hey,
going
you.
for.
That sounds more like Lisa than you.
I traveled with her this weekend, so we had to do Bucky's school. We can't stop.
Oh my goodness.
It was like that long. It went in his leg and came back out like
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 p.m. Let's call this thing to order, and I'd like to welcome everyone that's here tonight, and welcome all the folks that are watching us on YouTube. We appreciate y'all's interest, and hopefully that you'll get a great deal of information out of it. Alrighty, let's stand for the invocation and the pledges of allegiance.
Let's pray. Holy Father, thank you once again for allowing us to come together to do the work of the city of Richwood. We are so blessed by the opportunity to either live or work in this community, and we're thankful for all those that give of their time so selflessly for the betterment of the city. Please be with those that couldn't be here tonight. Be with all of us as we leave here tonight. Put your arms of protection around us, please. And in your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Okay, everybody be seated, please. Let the record reflect that all of our council members are here tonight. So we have a full house. Do we have any public comments? Chief? Thank you, sir. Mr. Challenger.
Thank you, guys. Actually thought the meeting was tomorrow. But I did want to was planning on bringing to you guys tomorrow some ideas. As you know, I'm an advocate for the caregivers of special need loved ones. And I'm not alone, believe it or not. It's a big deal right now. As a matter of fact, $38 billion is my best estimate of what we're spending right now in the state of Texas. And before I go into it, I need you to understand that there's two types of care, possibly more, but two I'm going to talk about it right now is you have institutional care and you have community-based care. A lot of us are familiar with institutional type care. It's, you're born into an institution about pre-K, you start to school and people are starting to be evaluated, and it goes on from there up until adulthood. But then there's community-based care. Some good examples would be something like the prom for the special needs that you were there at, the Penguin Project up at the theater, the bowling, stuff like this. That's good examples of community-based care. Me personally, I believe that community-based care is better. It doesn't cost as much. It's a blessing to those who volunteer their time within community-based care. But we're spending $38 billion on institutional care. What I'd like to see in the future is more put towards community-based care. Now, I'm not alone in this. If you look at Governor Abbott's budget for 22-23, you'll see $11 billion has been allocated to community-based care. Not only that, you can add in some other items. I suggest you pull up Governor Abbott's 22-23 budget and take a look at it, and you'll see that we have somewhat of wartime funding going towards behavioral health. Just to put it into perspective, it cost, from what I looked at, about $13 billion to build an aircraft carrier. So this is $11 billion a year going towards this. It's a big deal. What I would personally like to see in this area, my inspiration comes from a place called Morgan's Wonderland. I'm not going to ask if you've heard of it. Most of you haven't. But maybe write it down and look it up when you get home. Morgan's Wonderland is a community-based care facility. Campus, it's a pretty big deal, in all honesty. As you may be aware, you know, me and my wife have been involved in community-based care for 19 years. Now for the last 7, we transferred over to, from young mothers to the caregivers of special needs loved ones, including adults.
Yeah,
I brought it to you. Huh?
You have 1 minute remaining on your 3.
Oh boy. Well, you know, it's kind of hard to explain in that amount of time. So do your homework. But I think that we as a community need to really focus on what our governor is also looking at as a priority. And that's what I feel like expressing. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Questions?
Okay.
Is that grant funding, Mr. Chairman? 11 billion, is it grant funding, or
Yeah.
you know how it's partitioned out?
Yeah. If you look at Governor Abbott's 22-23 budget, you'll see, yeah, some of that in there. I mean, you've got the expanding our investment on behavioral health. I actually have it pulled up right now. That is $445 million in economic stabilization, used from the Economic Stabilization Fund. If we're going to talk money, I want $1 billion. That's what I'd like to see for this. There's also the Continuing Healthcare Transformation and Quality Improvement Fund. It does not. Oh, that's the $11 billion fund. Ensuring healthcare access for all Texans. There's a couple different sections in here. Expanding our investment in behavioral health. There's implementing Family First Prevention Service Act. Expanding capacity to high quality providers. It's pretty interesting. If you read the budget, I'd probably say half of it's going towards behavioral health. So, yeah. Just real quick, 1 in 36 is the latest number out from the CDC for autism. It's a shock to all of us. Matter of fact, when this budget was written, it was 1 in 56. And I have talked to the judge about this. When we're talking about the 1 in 36, those are people that cannot take care of themselves. Okay? You don't qualify for this if you can take care of yourself. So 1 in 36 people right now, and it's escalating, cannot take care of themselves. Okay? So we have a problem. Anyway.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta run, guys. I got 1 at the theater and 1.
Okay. Okay, we have no more public comments, so move on to the consent agenda, which is appoint Elvira Garcia to the Richwood Police Department Reserve Force, and approval of minutes from regular meeting March 13th, 2023. Do we have any discussion or motions?
Make a motion to approve a consent agenda.
Okay, I have a motion made by Councilmember Johnson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second from Councilmember Strawn. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
And Councilmember Fountain, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries. Item 7, discussion and action items. Discuss and consider setting alternate date for the May 2023 City Council meeting.
Do you want to take it?
Yes.
Due to the May elections, the canvassing period for the election doesn't begin until the end of the week. Actually, I believe it starts on the 9th, the day after our council meeting. Even then, we may not have official results from the county until the end of the week. My recommendation was that we just reschedule our regularly scheduled meeting for May 8th to May 15th, the next following Monday. That way we don't have to hold 2 meetings. So if we have it on the 8th, we'll still have to meet again to get it canvassed by the 17th of May. So we could pick a different day in there if y'all like.
I'm good with 15.
Okay, any discussion? Or motions?
Everybody good with it?
Is that a motion?
I'll do it.
Make a motion to approve setting the alternate date for the May 2023 City Council meeting to May 15th, 2023.
Okay, motion made by Councilmember Yarborough. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a second by Councilmember Fountain. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
And Councilmember Fountain, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
No,
Thank you. Then it is carried.
Now I'm taking it personal. No.
Okay. B, discuss and consider approving tax resale of property located within the city of Richwood.
This is in reference to a small lot on Oyster Creek Drive. It is 0.1 acre. It's too small to be developed residentially, so it has not sold. It's a lot that was owned privately that went into foreclosure or taken by the county for back taxes. So there is a buyer that wants to pay the back taxes and own the lot. We really don't have a say in the amount or anything. We just have to approve that we don't have any vested interest in it. We don't have any liens on it. County's already approved it.
That's not in trust with the city or something?
It's in trust. It's in trust to the city, but we don't own it. We're just,
Oh, we don't own
it's just trusted to us until somebody wants to pay the taxes on it.
Oh, okay, I see.
All right. Discussion, questions, or motions?
If they buy it, are they able to do whatever they want with it, or is it?
I mean, it's not large enough, it's residential, it's not
It's
large
done
enough to develop on,
residential,
so really they can't,
It's
there's not
just-
much that can be done,
Okay.
so.
What's the address?
Look, I just had it on BCAD, let me pull it back up.
I think it's-
Right next to the community garden. It
It's
backs
that
up to
Little
the,
strip,
It's that
Mike,
little strip.
right
It's like
next
a
to
little
the
square.
community garden.
it backs up to the fence line, from the community garden. I'll pull it up on,
Okay.
I don't think it has a physical.
I don't think
It
it's
doesn't ha- I
physical,
mean-
it's just the,
It's got a ID number from the appraisal district.
Yeah.
it's just an empty lot.
Doesn't have a physical. Pull up maps.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Want to see the location.
I just had it
it's right
posted.
next to the parking lot there.
On the other side of the parking
Yeah,
lot by
that's
that pump
right.
station.
Yeah.
Right here. So it is this little lot. Doesn't have an address. So this is a commercial lot that's for sale. This is our garden. This is pump station. This is the parking lot. And then this is the lot.
If it's that house next to it trying to purchase it, to add on to the property. Be smart for them.
Yeah, that's, I was kind of wondering why wouldn't, but yeah, if it butts up to a house, maybe.
I mean, I don't think it is. I think it's just a private party that wants to buy it. So, yeah,
What-
that may come up future, but
And they're clear on they can't build on it?
there may be future discussions with that buyer at a later meeting.
Coming to
Coming
council.
into council regarding a different lot, but that would be executive session with the attorneys due to private enterprise.
Why isn't this, I mean, has the city looked into paying the back taxes on it? And I mean, we have the community garden in the parking lot. It would make kind of sense for the city to own that.
We brought it up several years ago and it
It
went
didn't go anywhere.
nowhere.
That's the first time ever hearing of
It
it.
was before your time.
But you were here after me.
We brought it to council.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
I never recall this.
I mean, either way, this offer's here, it's accepted by the county. We don't have a say in saying no. The
I'm
county's
just
already
questioning
accepted
why
it.
the city, us as a city, and it's right next to city property, have never looked into expanding our footprint right there.
I
Yeah,
can't,
we definitely talked about it.
I can't,
Yes, sir.
I mean,
I was told before my time, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
city manager came after me, so that the timeline's not jiving. I'm just questioning, right?
The only reason I know is because Kirsten writes to me all the time. So she knows.
how about buying it?
So you're saying the county's already accepted it, we can't refuse it, so why is it here as an agenda item?
Because we have to just prove that we don't have any liens on the property, that they don't owe us money in the property.
But we're
We'll
just in
get,
trouble.
we'll get the back taxes that are owed
formality.
to us in the sale.
Right, but we
It's a
can't say
formality
no
for
because we
council.
want to
You
buy
can
it.
say no, and then I'll give that to county, and they'll do what they will with it.
I'm trying to remember.
Without going too far into it, we may end up with a lot. We may end up with interest in this lot in the end. It's been, I can't get into it because I'm not the buyer, but it's been talked about possibly deeding it over to the city after this is approved. So this would save us in having to pay the back taxes.
And
I'll
then
make a
it's like-
motion to approve tax resale of the property located within the city of Richwood as shown on the map during the council meeting.
Okay, Councilmember Johnson made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And Councilmember Yarborough made seconds. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarborough?
Aye.
Councilmember Escalante?
Aye.
Councilmember Fountain?
Aye.
Okay, let the record reflect that the motion carries. Okay. Discuss and consider adopting ordinance 23-504, amending chapter 15, article 2, sections 27, 28 of the City of Richwood Code of Ordinances for the purpose of amending membership and vacancy guidelines of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
So, yeah, this was brought back. Council's requested table it and add additional language into the ordinance. So you can workshop or discuss how you'd like it to be read. I kind of put a filler in there as far as lack of quorum, but that's completely up to you. I just added some language.
Okay, any discussion or?
Well, the other thing I was gonna say is, on the lack of quorum, I think that's important to have there, but I would just do one meeting based on the timeline. So if they are unable to meet for whatever reason, the next city council would take over to avoid any delays on zoning or whatever for buildings and stuff. Instead of 2 scheduled meetings, just say 1 scheduled.
I don't know about that. I mean, we've had city council meetings where we have had a lack of quorum. I mean, sometimes the
I would just
Swiss
avoid any
cheese, the
delays.
slots just line up right and you don't
Yeah.
have a quorum. I think one meeting is a little severe. I think 2, which show a trend.
Well, so I was explaining it to Matt earlier. The way I would do it is with replats specifically, we have 30 days from the time it's filed. So that would generally go on the next council meeting. I would then receive that. P&Z meetings do not have to happen on the same day as council. I can have it any day as long as I have my postings met. So I would probably try the very next possible week, and then if they can't get together then, try that week. But either way, it would still happen prior to that very next council meeting, within my 30 days, and then council would take over, should I not have been able to get P&Z there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fine, yeah.
That's why I put 2, to give them at least 2 weeks to try and get to.
I see what you're saying.
That way, if I can't get them there within 2 weeks, because I have 30 days, that's generally my deadline on planning replats. We should be able to get people there for that.
I don't really know the wording to use. Thinking about this, in general, I'm okay, and I think the council should use as much judgment at that time on have they given their appointed planning and zoning commission adequate time to look and discuss. They may table things such as we do for more information, but I feel like there needs to be a caveat of some kind that says, in the unprecedented circumstance, the council needs to grab something off the planning and zoning agenda, that they have that power to do so for time-critical situations. I don't have a good example of what that is. I mean, Kirsten, I think she's got a plan on how she's going to do this. It won't be the same night as council, not purposely probably, but I think that caveat needs to be in there.
Okay, any other questions or discussion?
So we have shall not hold elected office, which I know we talked about last time, and I know technically you're not supposed to be able to work for the city, but should it also be anyone who's compensated by the city? So that would include, not that I want to take people out, but, contractors, anybody like that who's compensated through the city, compensated by the city, who receives funds directly from the city. Because then wouldn't that put in sort of a conflict if you're making decisions for the city and also being paid by the city? There's just a lot of things that go into it that you have to think
board
about.
has that now. We would,
Well, then,
Right, well, that's
what that says right there. It says, shall be residents of the city and shall serve without compensation. So
right, without compensation for this specific thing, but not in other
so
areas.
that would limit, so we wouldn't allow firefighters, council members,
Everybody that receives the discount, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Are you saying, are you saying
well,
general
private things,
contractor that happens to own a
or
general
somebody that lives in
contract
Richwood that
company?
does business for the city?
That's what I thought you were talking
Yeah,
about.
that's what I am talking about. People who do, if you have a vested interest in something that's going on with the city, so say you you have a contract with the city in some way, and then you want to get on here and have some sort of sway, we need to protect the city in that way, I feel like also, because...
part of the bid process is to report any conflicts of interest.
Right, but if you, yeah.
I would think they'd want to be on a board and then get a contract.
Or vice versa, to keep an eye on things.
Maybe. But even then,
Anyways,
council has the authority to appoint or not appoint.
Right.
Well,
just like
y'all
with
still have
the-
discretion ultimately of who you want to serve on this
Right,
board.
well, just like with the purchase of the property just now, like, we don't know who purchased it, but then...
It's in the
So if,
packet.
oh, okay, I didn't see it. Sorry, I
Just
must
said
have
Brian
overlooked it.
Burns.
But so then if that person was to want to get on planning and zoning and then do what they want with with council, you have completely unbiased people because we're not allowed to be on anything else. We're not allowed to have any other, and so anyways, that's where my sticking point is. So, everybody else can disagree and however they are comfortable voting, but council has to be unbiased.
Council can't serve by
Right, we
law.
can't do anything else.
I agree
Even if
with,
it's not in this ordinance.
when we get to a development stage and we hear about that in the news all the time.
But we also have to remember, planning and zoning is a recommending board. They do not make change, they do not finalize change, they do not govern the city. They recommend to council to make change.
Yeah, that's why
Council's still the final say in anything.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I would think that council should put that research into who they're going to appoint at that future meeting.
Right.
And if,
And they can still say no to any recommendation P and Z presents.
It's just
which
difficult.
at this point is only replats, is really what we only see from planning and zoning. Anything else goes before Board of Adjustments. Any changes in zoning is Board of Adjustments, which is council.
Well, future variances would make their way through there, right?
That's Board of Adjustments. Variances goes before Board of Adjustments.
And that's still council.
That's council, that doesn't have its own board.
Yeah.
Yeah, planning and zoning at this point, we've really only seen, they would hold, they could have special meetings regarding future zoning changes of, and then recommend to council, like we think should see a commercial zone rezoned out here. They would just recommend to council, then council would ultimately have that say. They're just basically a researching, advising board.
Yeah.
They don't hold governing power. Whereas KRB or CCPD set a budget, they spend money, P&Z does not.
Okay. Any other questions, or do we have any motions?
Well, I'll make a motion, consider adopting make a motion to adopt ordinance 23504, amending chapter 15, article 2, section 2728 of the City of Richwood Code of Ordinances for the purpose of amending membership vacancy guidelines of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Do I need to say what it will be, or?
I mean, if it's if you want it as presented, then no.
Okay, as presented then, okay.
All right. Motion's made by Councilmember Fountain. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Johnson. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Strawn, how do you vote, ma'am?
Nay.
Councilmember Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Nay.
Councilmember Fountain, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Okay, let the record reflect that the motion carries with 3 ayes and 2 nays. All right, moving on. Discuss and consider approval of Resolution 23R77, a budget amendment in an amount of not to exceed $50,000 with Fund 32 utility capital improvements for the rebuilding of electrical panel at lift station number 4.
So council, this amendment for the purposes of rebuilding this electrical panel is here for several reasons. One, first and foremost, is really safety, the safety issue. As of now, the panel itself has become structurally unsound, and the electrical components within that panel are also in danger of, falling under any other force, whether it be wind or something like that. As you see, we got a pretty good lean going on here. We braced it about as much as we can due to its position relative to the wet well there. And this was going to this is really just a byproduct of hydrogen sulfide or H2S sewer gas. It eats through anything and everything over time, whether it be wood, fiberglass, metal, what have you. And this needs to be rebuilt. It's just become a safety hazard. Meter can's not even connected to the rack anymore. The rust holes, the back bolts have worn out, the conduit's holding it up. And this is why we're here. Public Works wants to offset some of this cost by structurally constructing the rack themselves. Of course, we'll do none of the electrical work, but we had a recommendation from our electrician on how to construct it, and we can do that for just a fraction of the cost of what the electrician would charge. And we can offset that. The $50,000 will cover all work above ground and bypass pumping while the current panel is out of service for the changeover.
Are we relocating it at all? Moving it as far away as we can, or no?
Well, yeah, we can't move too far. It's a pretty tight station, but we are going behind the wet well.
Okay.
And we are doing that so we can accommodate a little bit more width for a future transfer switch to be placed there. at one point in time, whether it be manual or automatic.
Did they recommend a metal, like double strut type of structure?
No,
Or-
it seems that treated wood actually does a little bit better in that environment than even galvanized metal. If you get a chip, the rust just it escalates. So we're going to do 6x6 post construction, 3, and then 1x8 cross members, 3/8 lag bolts, galvanized, painted, everything painted. We should get a 15-20 years out of the new rack.
Is there any H2S monitoring at that site?
No, there's no H2S monitoring at any site.
Instead of using galvanized, would you consider stainless?
We would under normal circumstances, but you probably, you're going to increase your costs so much using stainless.
Cliff, what is the cost savings? I know you're saying the city's going to offset the cost to build a structural rack. What was the vendor's cost? And then, just so as a metric that you can go back for your evaluation and say, hey, look, our department saved X amount of money. Taxpayers as well, we say the city is saving X amount of money. What is that anticipated?
I don't
savings?
have the itemized cost for you now, Rory. We just got a package cost.
But you said the vendor was going to charge X amount, and we could build it at a fraction of. Do you know what that X amount was?
No, we don't know, but I can tell you the above ground work with his guys and his dollar amount is going to be probably $50 an hour over ours from previous invoices.
And who were we using? What electrical company?
Well, we use Penny's Electric for
Penny's,
the
okay.
for the estimate. Due to the price, we're going to have to put it out.
That's what I figured.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll see what we get back. It could be better than that if we get any other interested parties.
We're replacing every box out there, right?
Yes, it's going to need a new meter can, new main disconnect, new box, new switches, new everything. Relays, breakers, it's all going to be brand new.
Not repulling no wire or anything, are you?
We have to extend just around to the backside, about 4 feet. Public Works can take care of all that.
Will that be switched for generator?
We'll have the space on the rack for the transfer
switch.
switch.
Okay.
We won't have it installed. That's part of the grant you submitted the application for.
Have you considered Class 1, Div 1, NEMA enclosure? This prevents for hazardous vapors. It's like what we have out at the hydrogen plant.
Yes, sir. The electrician is looking into that, yes. It's going to be a sealed. I guess
Yeah,
is what you're
sealed
getting at.
is not Class 1, Div 1.
Right.
I mean, if you're worried about the vapors getting into the breakers and corroding the wires and things like that, there's Class 1, Div 1. And you could even put a nitrogen bottle on it and have a slight purge.
Mm-hmm.
You could do that too.
Well, 'cause there's also immediate.
I mean, if we're gonna leave it, if we're just gonna fix it the way it is, if we're gonna get the same thing 5 years down the road. So I was thinking, what improvement are we making?
Well, yeah, on this particular, it'll be, the ones we've replaced in the past, the fiberglass boxes are sealed. I don't have the education of, what was it, Mike? Say it again, please.
Class 2, Div 1.
There you are.
Yeah, Neiman enclosures.
Yeah, but I'm sure the electrician has experience with
But
it.
you might want to make you to request it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The enclosure itself will cost a little bit more. I'll send you a link.
Okay, thank you.
I think just the sheer fact of moving it further away from the wellhead where H2S is prevalent would help circumvent a lot of the
It
extra
will.
corrosion.
It
correct?
will help. It's in a strange spot there anyway. Just
I mean, at the end of the day,
because
we're in southern Brazoria County in
Yeah, what-
salty conditions. It's
What are we
gonna,
going off of
everything's gonna
to,
corrode.
I mean, we're blaming H2S on this, but, I mean, before we start having a public alarm that H2S is a large problem right here.
well, hydrogen sulfide comes from our water.
Exactly.
It's in our
yeah.
water. It's everywhere.
Yeah, that's, but I mean, we're talking about
Yeah.
IDLH
Yeah,
situations.
it's not
we're talking-
ideal.
We start detecting hydrogen sulfide when we get in confined areas such as the wet wells and
Yep.
manholes, stuff like that.
Completely understand.
Hydrogen
But
sulfide in those concentrations standing outside.
take
nobody's-
age, environmental conditions on the coast, probably a lot of factors into
Right.
Now, the one thing about H2S is it's heavier than air, so it's going to hang around the bottom.
Yeah.
I was thinking earlier was thinking maybe if it wasn't heavier, you could run that vent up and real high and let it disperse, with the winds. But down in there, it's going to accumulate, and so it not enough to be IDLH, but it'll be enough in there to cause the corrosion issues.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir.
How long has that lid been there, Cliff? This lid right here.
Since the station was built.
Okay, so that galvanized lid's doing pretty good.
Mhm.
So maybe we need to try a different type of galvanized. I don't know if it's electro versus hot dip. It's two different processes. I don't know. But that lid looks like it's still in really good shape, and that's right by the stuff. The fumes, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at that meter loop box, that really doesn't look like it's galvanized.
No, that's probably
It's
painted
painted.
steel, huh?
The nitrogen purge is not a bad idea because it'll keep it dry inside, and it'll keep the corrosion from building up in there. And it's not all that hard to hook up. All you have to do is just put it on a small regulator, put you some tubing up there to it, crack it open. But when you open up the enclosure, make sure it's off and make sure it has a chance to be replaced with O2.
Those are pretty oxidized switches.
Well, and it's just kind of giving you an idea. We contend with about once every 6 to 8 months where we bring the electrician in and they kill the power, pull that stuff, clean the points, contacts, stuff like that. So we're to the point to where we're having to do it about twice a year.
Are they putting anything in there for moisture control?
He puts
Some kind of sodium silicate?
Yeah, he puts a
Okay.
treatment on the end of those wires before we terminate.
Yeah. Something like that. It should probably it'd be a smart move to go ahead with that nitrogen, some kind of nitrogen purge on it, so it'd keep it dry.
That's very possible. I got to build the rack first, get everything replaced.
Okay. Any other questions, and do we have any motions?
The 50,000, that's in excess of what was in the budget?
That is, yeah, so we don't budget for Fund 32, it's capital
Okay,
expenditure fund, so unless
Just
we
as
know
needed.
something at budget time. So we have, fund balance in there is roughly 230,000. So we have the funds in there to do this.
Okay, any motions or?
So do you want to look at different stuff, or you just want to go ahead and get a motion and go forward and look into the different type of enclosure with the electrician when they bid it out? You still got to go out to bid?
Yes, I'd like to get a motion moved forward. We feel that this 50,000 is substantial enough to get us through probably any way that we go.
With contingency, you got a little bit of contingency in
I
there?
believe there is, yes.
Okay. Make a motion to approve resolution 23-R-77, budget amendment in an amount not to exceed $50,000 within the Fund 32 utility capital improvements for the rebuilding of electrical panel at lift station number 4.
Okay, we have a motion made by Councilmember Yarborough. Do I have a second?
Second it.
Have a second by Councilmember Strong. Councilmember Johnson, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong, how do you vote, ma'am?
Aye.
Councilmember Yarborough, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Councilmember Escalante, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
And Councilmember Fountain, how do you vote, sir?
Aye.
Let the record reflect, the motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Item E, consider items removed from consent agenda. I think we're good on that one. So we'll move on to capital improvement projects.
Okay. Of course, North Water Booster Plant, we're still waiting on Remaining switchgear, I should have around the end of this month, end of April, 1st of May. Of course, the generator is going to be a little bit later. August is still on anticipated startup date. Stormwater master plan, phase 1 and 2 drainage improvements. Of course, we're through the final walkthrough of the ditch rehabilitation. Everything, the items added back to the project scope, being North Mahan and East Yopon. North Mahan is substantially complete. There are a few things they have left to do over there, and they're currently working on East Yopon drainage, and they're moving along. It shouldn't be too much longer. The ARPA grant, being the South Water Plant pumps, motors, and generators for service center and one of the wells. The project bidding was on hold until GrantWorks reviewed specifications and language. That was as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Everything has come back to Strand. Looks good. They're ready to advertise, so we don't have to push it any further. Our tentative schedule here is going to be May 4th. Add to the paper 10th and 17th advertisement, May 30th bid opening, June 6th bid tab should come back to the city after Strand reviews, and then June 12th should be the contract award, or the bids brought to council for contract award. Sidewalk and drainage improvements, the storm sewer on Moore is substantially complete. We're anticipating the completion of that project in late April. So they're moving along on that as well. City of Richwood MITMOD, the pavement, drainage, water main improvements on Briar Creek, Crell Run, and Four Oaks. The GLO sent project team request for information February 16th. A response to that request for information was provided back to GLO February 21st, and now we're waiting on a response to that. The elevated towers, the last meeting I think we expressed to council that Strand picked up a little weight on our end to put some hydraulic modeling to 2 locations instead of 1 to see if we could more evenly distribute water distribution pressure. As of now, they're reviewing the models, both at the north and south end of town, and they anticipate having a response and results by the end of this week. So we should have news for y'all in the next council meeting. Streets, we're still anticipating July for county to get started again, and I think that's all I have.
Okay. I had a question for roads. So Amberjack and Blue Marlin had quite a bit of like road debris still left on the sides. Are the county planning to come and clean that up when they come back, or what was their?
We were going to get out there. I think that's something that's been handed off to the foreman to check that out. I know there's some areas of concern. If they have not made it out there, I'll make note to bring that back up to him.
Yeah, they haven't.
Okay.
We were just seeing some neighbors this weekend that were complaining they still had some piles in their yard.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Now that everybody's having to mow all the time, it's getting to become. Yeah.
You got rocks.
Yes,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions? If not, thank you, Cliff.
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving on to city manager's report.
Mayor, Council, I will spare you the details. It's pretty much regurgitation from the end of the week last week, except I have added the website updates on your printed form there. If you would go to that and look at the updates that we have done so far, and I would ask you look at that on your phone as well to see if how you like that coming along. That's all I've got.
Okay. No questions. We'll move on to the council member comments and reports. Councilmember Johnson.
I'd like to thank all the volunteers of the city of Richwood, and really appreciate KRB this last Saturday doing the Easter egg drive-through, and all the other people that helped out with that. Looks like it was a big success. So thank you.
Councilmember Strong.
So I won't be at the next meeting because I already had plans. So this is my last one. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody in the city and all the volunteers and my fellow council members. Thank y'all for memorable 4 years, and appreciate everything that everybody's done. Thank y'all for the time.
Thanks for the 4 years.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry I won't be here next meeting. But.
Councilmember Yarborough.
I have no comments at this time.
Okay. Councilmember Escalante.
Nothing further to add.
Councilmember Fowler.
Just to reiterate what Mike said, I was out there Saturday, so it was thank you to all the volunteers that came out for Saturday. It was a pretty good event, even though we couldn't get out and do the Easter egg hunt in the mud. But there were quite a few cars, well over 100. I didn't get the final count on it. They handed out a lot of bags. So. 41.
10,680.
Yeah. Which is good, because the year before I think we realized we were a little short, so it went more this year. And to those city council members that won't be here next meeting, or those on the way out, thank you for your service. Glad y'all could volunteer and help and everything y'all done.
All right. Thank you, sir. Moving to the mayor's report. Not all that much to report other than we did attend the TCEQ meeting online for Bastrop Bio, which is basically there's one resident, I can't remember the name, but resident and the county that was actually approved as affected. So we'll continue to push that through those, probably through the county, because the county's got the legal folks to take care of it. So anything that I've got, I'm going to send up their way and make sure that they have it if they don't already. But we're at the next level on which will actually be a contested hearing on the Bastrop issue. Mr. Erm, you have?
I did not get to listen to it. I had it playing on my phone in the excavator during that day. I had several people call me and say that we were disqualified because we were too far away, yet I think the one individual that was approved lived further away than I did. Yeah. So did you catch any of the names that were the
I've got I don't remember the name right off the top of my head, but do you remember that name?
Yeah, I don't recall. I think what happened was it was the way that general complaints were made.
Worded. Yes.
So you have a general complaint which was heard in the first round, and then you had legal standing the second round. I think a lot of people regurgitated their first round when you needed a legal definition or legal the second way. In the end, it doesn't really matter. The case is going to be heard by SOA. And it doesn't really matter who brings it, whether one bring it or 500. It matters really not. The SOA hearing examiner is going to hear the same information. So what I took from it is those others that were not included, including ourselves, did not have legal standing.
Right.
Or did not make the sound legal argument, which they've already carried it for two other people. So.
But again, the issues that as Eric said, even though it's just two groups, the county's going to, more than likely, the county's going to be carrying the weight for everybody, simply because they're going to have the team, the legal team, and anything that I've found up to date, and all of the things that. The concerns that I have, I'm definitely going to slide them on up to the DA's office and make sure that they get them, because they are actually good questions to ask. There are issues that just don't make any sense, and I think that whole hearing up to that point was like less than 30 minutes.
Yeah,
it took us long enough to log on, and then they went through, and then it was over, and that was just an administrative hearing. So,
Have we ever got to the root of which commissioner signed off on this? Or what authority figure in Missouri County signed off?
No, I
That's
haven't heard.
a new precinct.
I haven't heard, and right now, the focus is first and foremost try to stop it. But I plan to ask, but again, it's been trying to focus on that, on trying to at least ways get it to a hearing so we
We
can.
need that desperately,
Yeah.
because that will never leave Richwood. It'll tap into Angleton,
Oh, yeah.
Forest jurisdiction with the tide. It's going to stay right there. It should decrease property.
TCQ has a lot of models and a lot of plans, but a lot of them that in the time that I was involved in environmental and even the time that I worked, dealt with water and wastewater out in the plant, I had a unit that was mine, and they have all of these models but they don't have a lot of common sense about what goes on and how to operate the units and make sure that. And a lot of the issues that I have with them is the sampling schedules. I mean, you're looking at 7 days to grab samples on certain things. That's a lot of water in 7 days. And yeah, they can go back and find them if they determine that they actually let it run from sample to sample. They can find them for each day back, but they're going to find it and say, well, how do you know what day it started? And that's why you should have composite sampling. That's why you should have, a lot more information. I'd say online pH, something that's continuously monitored. Composite sampling of the water that's coming out. And and at least you can take and run COD samples instead of waiting for the BOD 5-day sample. You can run a COD sample to get a quick run every couple of days. So there's a little bit more to it than they're doing, and you let an industry try to put in a system, put in a wastewater system, and I guarantee you that there's going to be a lot of the regulations are going to be stiff. And they will be required to do a heck of a lot more testing, and I don't see any difference in this system or even a municipality. You figure when you have that kind of system, those systems in place, you'll know beforehand before it gets to the point where it's bad. Instead of having something that 7 days, oh man, we're way out of limit. Yeah, you can look at it, and you can see some changes. A good operator, if he's worth his salt and worth his money, he can see where he's having problems, foaming, things like that. That's going to bring it up. That's going to tip them off. But system sampling across, all the way across the system to see how it's doing is the best. And first and foremost, it should be in those packages. So,
thank you.
All righty, and I think that's it on that. On anything that, but I do want to. This will be my last full meeting as mayor. I want to thank everybody that has supported me, the citizens, a lot of people. Both good and bad. I've learned a lot from this job and a lot from the things that we've done here, and I'm proud of the record that this council has achieved over the years. This city is in a very good place, and again, I'm not knocking any previous councils or any previous managements. The bottom line here is for the 40 years that I've lived here, this city has done, each council and each management group has done the best they could with what they had and what the citizens would let them do. And I was worried about the bond issues when that came in during our election time. but those bond issues have done real good for us. We've gotten a lot of the roads fixed, a lot of issues taken care of, sidewalks. We've gotten the new water system, we're getting that upgrade done as much as we can, and there's a long ways to go. And again, it's working step by step, piece by piece, and the council looking for how everything that we do up here betters the whole city. And but it's going to be, hopefully it won't be rough when you're going to start with 3 new council members. I know that it was kind of rough when we started because there was a whole big shakeup with personnel, and but we weathered it and moved on. And I think not by any individual thing that I've done. I think it's been a across the board council, staff, the personnel that we have here. Without the cooperation and without all the hard work that's been done, I don't think we would have been in as good a shape as we are now. And I can guarantee you that we're going to have some tough times ahead with the economy the way it is. We hit a good spot, but the next few years are going to be kind of rough. So I thank everyone for the support they've given me, and also I guess it'd be support. Can't come up with the word. I'm typical that way, getting old. But I appreciate all the folks that have called. Even Mr. Page, when he came in last meeting and had made his comments, I was that was moving to me, because Mr. Page is a concerned citizen, and sometimes he's the guy that wakes you up. He'll, hey, what about this? Have y'all thought about that? Or you need people that comes up and kind of wakes you up, and he really cares about the city. He has deep concern for the city and its citizens. But when I walk away from here next month, I can say that I've worked with a lot of good people, and that I will miss the fun that we've had. I will also miss the issues that we've dealt with, the phone calls, the texts, the emails, and the Facebook messages. I've gotten a lot of those, some nice, some not so nice, but guarantee you, each one of them was heard, read, considered, and did my best to act on one way or another. So thank y'all very much for all the folks that I've worked with and have put up with me. Okay, so future agenda items.
Mayor, Council, looks like we'll be setting a date for a budget planning session, setting a date for the governance training, and also setting a date when we get the extended version of the solid waste contract back, or information back, sometime in May. That'll be it.
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, I've got one. Ellis Park, the pathway on Ellis Park is falling apart, uneven, has a lot of big cracks in it that run parallel with it. The little kid get a front bicycle tire in it, have an accident, and I'd like to at least look at getting a quote to see how much it would cost to repair that pathway.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'd like that to be on the agenda.
Okay.
Got it.
In regards to that, like that property, that other property that we hold in trust, so I'd like to take a look, what our options are, is what we can do with that. If we have the option of the city to buy it
Just
as part of the
approve
city.
sale of it, so
No, not that, not the one that.
The rest we own,
is-
all around it. We
No,
already-
no. The other ones is for sale, so, because I think it still says we have it in trust too, if I remember right.
Where?
The one that has the big sign on it. Not the one that we did tonight.
The one that needs to be mowed
Yeah,
between the deal
Along
and
2004?
yeah.
yeah.
That's not a trust to us. No,
Okay.
that's
I
a
thought it
commercial
was.
lot that's owned.
What can we look at?
Okay.
Because we can use it for a garden.
Are we being pulled over?
yes,
Uh-huh.
some type of governmental
Yeah,
harassment going
I
on
think
back
that's what it
there.
was.
I think he has something to say.
Oh,
I have to play the chief.
oh, okay. All right, well, if there's nothing else for the agenda, then we will call this meeting to adjournment at 6:59 p.m.